I'm Michael Carter. For 8 years I thought I had a solid marriage. Not perfect, what marriage is, but solid. My wife Sarah worked as a marketing director at Apex Solutions in Manhattan. I'm a software consultant, specializing in forensic data analysis for Fortune 500 companies. The kind of work that pays exceptionally well, but doesn't come with a flashy title or corner office. Sarah had always been ambitious. That's what I loved about her. She wanted the executive suite, the power lunches, the respect. I supported that. I worked remotely from our penthouse in Tribeca, handled our investments, kept our life running smoothly so she could chase her dreams. But over the past 3 months, something shifted. "Michael, I have another company retreat this weekend," she said one Thursday evening, barely looking up from her phone. "Team building. Mandatory." I nodded from the kitchen where I was preparing dinner. "Where this time?" "Aspen Ridge Spa Resort in Colorado. 2 nights. Richard, my VP, says it's crucial for Q4 planning." Richard Blackwell, her boss. She'd mentioned him more in the past 3 months than in the previous 3 years combined. Richard thinks this. Richard suggested that. Richard wants the team to bond. "That's the 3rd retreat this quarter," I said quietly. "It's a demanding job, Michael. You wouldn't understand. You work from home." I let it go. That's what I always did. Let it go. Stay calm. Don't make waves. But that night, after she fell asleep, I checked our shared email account, the one we used for household bills and travel confirmations. There it was, Aspen Ridge Spa Resort, Suite 412, 2 guests, booked under Richard Blackwell's corporate American Express. I sat in the dark of our home office, the Manhattan skyline glittering beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring at that confirmation email. The next morning, I did what I do best. I analyzed data. Sarah's business trips over the past 6 months, 7 total. Richard Blackwell's expense reports, which I accessed through a contact at Apex's accounting department in Chicago, 7 hotel stays. Same dates, same locations. Denver, Scottsdale, Miami, San Francisco. I didn't feel anger. I felt something colder. Clarity. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. New York area code. "Is this Michael Matthews?" A woman's voice. Controlled, but strained. "Yes. My name is Catherine Blackwell. I believe we need to talk about our spouses." Catherine Blackwell was elegant, composed, the kind of woman who'd perfected the art of appearing unshaken even when her world was crumbling. Old money, Connecticut boarding schools, the real thing. "I found hotel charges on Richard's Amex," she said, stirring her untouched latte. "When I confronted him, he said they were work events, team-building retreats for Apex Solutions." "Same story Sarah's been telling me," I replied. Catherine slid a folder across the table. Inside were printed credit card statements highlighted in yellow. 7 charges, Aspen Ridge Spa Resort, 4 Seasons Scottsdale, the Setai Miami Beach, Ritz-Carlton San Francisco. I pulled out my own folder. Sarah's Outlook calendar cross-referenced with Richard's expense reports. Perfect overlap. Catherine's jaw tightened. "This weekend. Aspen Ridge again. Colorado." "Suite 412, I said. She looked at me. "How do you know that?" "I'm a forensic software consultant. I find patterns in corporate data, financial fraud, embezzlement. It's what I do for Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. I find what people try to hide." For the first time, something like a smile crossed her face. Not happiness. Recognition. "What do you propose we do?" she asked. I'd been thinking about this since her call. "We book the suite next door, Suite 414. We arrive early Friday afternoon, we document everything, and then we confront them Saturday morning with evidence, not emotion. You want to catch them in the act. I want the truth, on record, so when this ends, there's no ambiguity. No he said, she said, just facts." Catherine was quiet for a moment. Then she extended her hand. "I'm in." We spent the next 2 days planning. I called Aspen Ridge, explained I needed a suite for a quiet work weekend. Suite 414 was available. I booked it under my name, paid cash to avoid any digital trail that might alert Sarah. Catherine handled the legal research. In Colorado, recording conversations you're party to is legal. And if we knocked on their door, introduced ourselves, and they continued talking, anything said after that was fair game. No shouting, I told Catherine the night before we left. No drama, we present the facts. We let them realize what they've done, and then we walk away. You're very calm about this, she observed. Anger is expensive, I said. It costs you clarity, and I need to be clear-headed for what comes next. She nodded. Richard thinks I'm visiting my sister in Boston this weekend. Sarah thinks I'm at a client site in Seattle. We both smiled. Not with joy, with purpose. Friday afternoon I packed a small bag, laptop, recording equipment, a notepad. I flew from JFK to Denver, rented a car, and drove to Aspen Ridge Spa Resort. Checked in, went to Suite 414. Catherine arrived 2 hours later from LaGuardia, and then we waited. Then Richard's voice, low and warm. Suite 412, Mr. Blackwell, the bellhop said in the hallway. Catherine and I sat in silence in Suite 414, a thin wall between us and them. The walls at Aspen Ridge were not soundproof, luxury resort, premium rates, but old construction built in the 1980s. We heard everything. At first it was mundane, unpacking, ordering room service, champagne. Then the conversation shifted. God, I needed this, Sarah said. 2 days without Michael hovering. He's always there, always watching. Does he suspect anything? Richard asked. Michael? No. He's too busy with his little consulting projects, analyzing spreadsheets for banks. He thinks I'm here for work. Richard laughed. Technically you are, I am your boss. And what a demanding boss you are. There was a pause. Then Sarah's voice again, softer. When are you going to tell Catherine? Soon. I just need to time it right. She's got family money, trust funds from her grandfather. I need to make sure the prenup doesn't destroy me. My lawyer's working on it. And my promotion? After Q4 results come in, I'll push you to senior director. VP track within 2 years. But you have to be patient, Sarah. We can't rush this. Apex's board is watching me. Catherine's hand clenched on the armrest beside me. I reached over, placed my hand on hers. She didn't pull away. The conversation continued. Do you ever feel guilty? Sarah asked. About what? Lying? To Catherine? To Michael? Richard scoffed. Michael's a nice guy, Sarah. But nice doesn't build careers. You want the corner office at Apex? You do what it takes. And right now what it takes is keeping him in the dark until the timing's right. He'd be devastated if he knew. Then don't tell him. Look, you married a software consultant who works from home. I'm offering you a VP track at a Fortune 500 company. This is an upgrade, in every way. Sarah laughed. You're terrible. You love it. I felt Catherine trembling beside me, not from fear, from rage. I squeezed her hand gently. Not yet, I whispered. We listened for another hour. They ordered more champagne, talked about their future. Sarah mentioned looking at apartments in Soho. Somewhere modern. Michael's place is nice, but it's so him. Boring. I want something that screams success. Richard talked about his exit strategy. I'll tell Catherine after the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. Give her time to process, then we'll move forward. You'll get your promotion, I'll get my freedom. We both win. At 10:15 p.m., the conversation finally quieted. We heard the TV turn on. CNN. Then eventually silence. Catherine and I sat in the dark. I've heard enough, she said quietly. So have I. Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. We didn't sleep much that night. I reviewed my recordings, made sure everything was clear. Catherine sat by the window, staring out at the Colorado mountains, snow-capped and indifferent. At 7 a.m. we heard movement next door. Shower running, room service arriving, coffee, breakfast. At 7:45 a.m., Catherine and I stood in the hallway outside Suite 412. I knocked. Richard, Catherine said calmly, we need to talk. What are you doing here? Sarah stammered. We're in Suite 414, I said, right next door. The color drained from Sarah's face. We heard everything, Catherine added. Silence. Richard tried to recover first. Catherine, this isn't... Don't. she said, her voice like ice. "I've already called our lawyer in Greenwich. I'm filing for divorce Monday morning. And I'm sending your expense reports to Apex's board of directors. Using company funds for personal trips is a fireable offense. Securities fraud, actually, since Apex is publicly traded." Richard's mouth opened, closed. No words came out. Sarah looked at me. "Michael, please, let me explain." "There's nothing to explain," I said quietly. "You wanted an upgrade. You found one. I hope it was worth it." "It's not what you think. Sarah, I'm a forensic software consultant. I analyze financial data for a living. I know exactly what this is. I've seen it 1,000 times in corporate fraud cases." I pulled out a folder. Inside were printed transcripts of last night's conversation, hotel receipts, expense reports, cross-referenced calendars, bank statements. "I've documented everything," I said. "Every trip, every lie. Every expense report Richard filed claiming these were business retreats. I've already sent copies to my attorney in Manhattan." Richard's face went from pale to grey. "You recorded us?" "You continued talking after we identified ourselves at your door," Catherine said. "Anything said after that is legally admissible in New York and Connecticut. Our lawyers confirmed it." I looked at Sarah. For 8 years, I'd loved this woman, supported her, believed in her. "You never asked what I actually do," I said. "You thought I was just some boring consultant working from home. I find fraud, Sarah, corporate fraud, financial discrepancies, embezzlement, for the biggest banks in America. I make $850,000 a year doing it. I'm good at what I do." Her eyes widened. She'd never asked, never cared. "Michael, please. I'm filing for divorce. You'll get what the law requires. Nothing more. And Richard," I turned to him, "Apex's board will receive a full report Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Catherine's lawyer is handling that. Using corporate funds for an extramarital affair? That's not just fireable, that's criminal." Richard's hands were shaking. "You can't—" "I already have," Catherine said. We stood there for a moment. 4 people, 2 marriages ending in a hotel hallway in Colorado. "I loved you," Sarah whispered. "No," I said. "You loved what you thought I couldn't give you. Turns out I could have. I just chose not to spend it on someone who saw me as boring." I turned to Catherine. "Shall we check out?" "I think we're done here," she agreed. We walked away. Behind us, I heard Sarah start to cry. Richard was silent. We didn't look back. The divorce took 4 months. Sarah tried to fight it at first, claimed we could work through it. But when her lawyer saw the evidence, recordings, receipts, documented lies, he advised her to settle. She got what the law required. Half of our shared assets accumulated during marriage. The Tribeca penthouse went to her. I didn't want it anymore. Too many memories of a life that turned out to be a lie. Richard was fired 3 weeks after we returned from Colorado. Misuse of company funds, ethics violation. Apex's board didn't tolerate executives who treated corporate American Express cards like personal slush funds. The SEC got involved. Criminal charges were filed. Sarah's promotion never came. The new VP, Richard's replacement, brought in from Goldman Sachs, had no interest in advancing someone connected to a scandal. She was quietly moved to a lateral position. No upward trajectory, no corner office. Catherine and I stayed in touch. Not romantically. We'd both been through enough. But we'd meet for coffee once a month in Brooklyn, 2 people who'd survived the same storm. "How are you doing?" she'd ask. "Better," I'd say. And it was true. I bought a penthouse in the financial district, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson River, 3 bedrooms, home office with a view of the Statue of Liberty. I expanded my consulting practice, took on more clients, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Bank of America. The work I was good at. My income doubled, then tripled. Forensic data analysis was in high demand, and I was the best. I traveled Tokyo, London, Singapore, Zurich, consulting for international banks, finding fraud, building my reputation. Some nights I'd think about Sarah, wonder if she regretted it, wonder if Richard ever followed through on his promises from prison. But mostly, I didn't think about them at all. Revenge was never the goal. I didn't want to destroy Sarah. I just wanted the truth. And once I had it, I could finally let go of the weight I'd been carrying, the weight of a marriage that had died long before I knocked on that hotel room door. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was working late in my new penthouse when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Michael, it's Sarah. Can we talk? I made a mistake. I see that now." I stared at the message for a long time. The Manhattan skyline glittered beyond my windows. My portfolio had just crossed 8 figures. My calendar was booked solid with consulting contracts for the next year. Then I deleted the message. Some doors once closed should stay that way. I turned back to my laptop, pulled up a new case file for JP Morgan, and got back to work. The best revenge I'd learned wasn't revenge at all. It was freedom, wealth, peace, and I had all. 3.